two commissioners join us. Welcome. Are we on? Are we official? No. Okay, let's go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hershey has been kind enough to offer a thought or legislative prayer tonight.
Okay, I'm going to start off with a thought, then I'll offer a prayer. Good planning is summarized by one of the greatest philosophers of all time, Yogi Berra. He said, "If you do not know where you are going, you'll end up someplace else." Well, it's my hope that as a city, as we plan for the future on Main Street, West Side, Pages Lane area, and other important places in our city, that we'll use responsible planning skills to know where we're going. It's great to set goals, but a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I'll offer prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity we have tonight to meet as Planning Commission. We're grateful for the moisture which we're receiving and pray that those who may be out in it may be safe and protected tonight. We're grateful for the opportunity to review issues involving the city, and we pray that Thou bless us, that we may be guided in using our planning skills to do those things that will best meet the needs of the great citizens of Centerville. Thank Thee for all of our blessings, and we say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Right, turning to our one and really only matter on the agenda today, we're being asked to consider the proposed final subdivision plat for Moss Acres. So we'll turn the time over to staff.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners. So I wasn't here for the preliminary plat review, so I'm sorry if I repeat anything or miss anything that you guys brought up. But in writing the report, I was just going off of Corey's preliminary conditions, and from my standpoint, everything had been checked off according to his report. So for the geological study, they actually amended their study to reduce the setbacks for the uphill and downhill slope, but our city standard is still at 30 feet, so if you'll I'm going to zoom in here. So our city standard is still at 30, so they actually didn't have to end up changing that. The fault line is clearly indicated here, and they haven't changed any lot lines from preliminary at all. We have the plat notes that indicate the maximum pervious coverage, and that they're in the hill, that owners will be in the hillside overlay, so they accept the hazard and risks associated with that. The PUEs are now noted on the plat, and we have received approval from the fire marshal and the Weber Basin via email that the existing infrastructure on the site is adequate, so they will not be needing to install another fire hydrant. The demolition plan for the sheds on the property were another issue of concern, and I actually do want to amend my condition that I have written in the report to further clarify this. The shed on lot 3 does not need to be demoed because the existing home is remaining on the property. So there is that historic home on lot 3. So it's perfectly acceptable for the shed to remain on that lot. The other sheds on the property on lot 2 and 4 will have to be demoed before the recording of the plat, but there are 2 sheds on lot 4, and one of them can remain with the bonding of the applicant for the demolition. And if a home is not constructed within 18 months, then that additional accessory shed should be demoed. So I don't think that was perfectly clear in my condition, so I want to clear that up here. Corey mentioned that the fault was not clear on the plat. I think it had been changed to show more clearly here. So I don't know how it looked before, but I think that's good. And those were the biggest issues, were the demo and construction plans. The city engineer has taken a glance at the construction plans and the demolition plan, and from his first review of it, it looked good. He'll still have to meet with the city engineer and sign off, and the city attorney will also have to sign off on the final plat. But the biggest things that were the concerns from the preliminary, like the notes and the easements and the setbacks from the fault line, were the biggest adjustments, really, and they have all been accomplished at the final plat. Questions?
So, just so I'm clear, the condition that you would amend is condition 11.
True.
So, I've just kind of drafted in here, the applicant shall post a bond for the demolition of sheds on the property, excluding the shed on lot 3. Is that consistent with what you're thinking?
So the shed on lot 4, one of the sheds on lot 4 and lot 2 should be demoed before the recording of the plat. Oh, just generally. And then the one he needs to bond for is the second shed on lot 4 that he wants to keep. And so if a primary residence is constructed on lot 4 within 18 months, he can keep it.
So I would probably just be really specific and say the shed on lot 3 does not have to be demolished, but the shed on lot 2 and one shed on lot 4 needs to be demolished, and then the second shed on lot 4 can be bonded for.
I like exactly the way that Lisa just said that. So when you go back to
Can we,
put that condition in, I would just draft it that way.
can we be more clear on which shed?
Yeah, so
Instead of saying the one shed?
Yeah, so as it's said in the demolition plan, it says the existing outbuilding located at the south end of lot 4 shall remain if the lot has been developed with a primary use within 18 months.
Yeah.
So,
That's more specific, yeah.
Well, and we should also maybe just say in accordance with the demolition plan, if he does have that demolition plan. But I would still be specific so that it's really clear which sheds are going to be demolished, which ones can be bonded for, and a reference to the demolition plan. Unless let's look at that. Yeah, is there another condition that talks about the demolition plan? Let's see. Oh, yeah, receive final approval.
It looks to me like the demolition plan already addresses the clarifications that Cassie made.
So can we just live with
Does
that?
it have on there that he has to bond for it, though? It's clear which ones will be removed. Oh, okay, yeah, and the
Prior to
developer shall
releasing
remove
the
the
bond.
structure prior to releasing the bond. Okay.
So do we even need that condition 11?
You could replace it with the condition on complying with the demolition plan for the removal of existing buildings
Yeah.
and bonding.
Well, the demolition plan itself doesn't say that you have to have a bond, it just talks about releasing the bond, so do we need a condition still
I
that
think you
says?
have to have a condition for the bond. Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, while we're talking, will you draft up some language to just make that clear?
Sure. I'll
11,
take-
like, I think we just need to revise 11 to be
Okay.
a little more specific.
Sure.
Does anyone else have any other questions for staff?
Yes, on page 3, this is a property lawyer question. What does eliminate property wonder confusion mean?
Owner. I had to
Just
reread that
kidding.
today
I
too.
I checked the demolition plan and it's actually correct in that. So. But I have a lot of clients that have property wonder confusion, so I just wondered if you had a definition for that.
Chad's kind of a property wonder.
Any other questions for staff?
No.
All right, we'll invite the applicant to step forward if you'd like to speak to this matter. You certainly don't have to, but you're welcome to if you'd like. Completely up to you.
Chad Morris, owner of the lot there. Yeah, just again, a couple clarifications. There are actually, I think, 2 buildings that will still be demolished on lot 4, if I remember right. One's just really tiny and one's a little bit bigger shed, and then there's the south garage. That's the one that I'm hoping to stay with the bond. Other than that, yeah, through this process, I feel like we've come up with a pretty good plan for everybody to, with the lots, and really eventually I think great homes will be there. So we're expecting to hopefully have a shared driveway even for the Main Street lot, so that there's access to the 2050 North eventually. But yeah, it's through the process. I think we've kind of worked out all the kinks for it, and I don't need to, I guess, do this now, but in the future, I think it would be where I do see a benefit to having a lot line or a setback for the earthquake zone. I tend to think that 30 feet is probably far too great on each side. I mean, just for future people who are developing their properties, especially if you have an engineer telling you exactly what they feel comfortable with. It just doesn't make sense to me to state that even though we have a professional saying this, we think this. Generally, a professional opinion and report per se actually is usually holds some clout in some way, but for some reason here it does not. But not that I don't think in this case it would matter too much with my property, other than giving a little more space to add on. But for future development, it could really make a big difference. So that's all done. Thank you.
Thank you. And does anyone have questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for making it so clear, the lot line. If you zoom out, it looks like that's all that's on there.
If you zoom way out, it's not such a black line.
Yeah.
So
Gina would be proud.
Yes, she would. Wouldn't she? We miss her. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this has not been scheduled for a public hearing, so does anyone else have any questions for staff? All right, Lisa, have you worked your magic on language?
Well, on number 11, I would suggest first that we say the applicant shall comply with the demolition plan as approved by the city engineer, because a previous condition said the city engineer has to approve that. And then it looks like we can just repeat language that's in the demolition plan, but basically saying the existing building. So I'm just looking at 1B1. The existing outbuilding located on the south end of lot 4, I would probably say may remain if the lot is developed with a primary use within 18 months from the date of plat recording. And then let's see, at the end of the 18-month period, if the lot has not been developed for a primary use, the developer shall remove the structure prior to releasing the bond amount for its demolition, or the city can call the funds from the bond for demolishing the structure. So applicant shall comply with the demolition plan as approved by the city engineer. And then the existing outbuilding located at the north end of lot 4 may remain if the lot, south end of lot 4 may remain if the lot is developed with a primary use within 18 months from the date of plat recording. period, and then the remainder of that paragraph, include that as well.
With your language that the city may call.
Yes,
Oh,
that whole
no,
sentence, yeah.
That's on there. That's
All
right.
of 1BI.
With a few changes to one, the first sentence.
Got it. Evelyn, do you have that?
Does,
Fantastic.
sorry, does that make it clear enough, though, that he needs to post a bond, or, again, we're still just saying kind of ancillary, he can release the bond, but, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could add, shall comply with the demolition plan as approved by the city engineer and shall bond for the demolition, but, let's
Yeah,
see, and shall bond for.
That's kind of what I was thinking, just to be clear, so there's no, you know, like, anyway, to be clear and direct.
One potential way of doing that, Lisa, would be to change your very first language to say the applicant shall comply with the demolition plan as approved by the city engineer and shall post a bond for the demolition of sheds on the property, period, and then keep your existing language from 1BI of the demolition plan.
Okay, or how about just this, yeah, applicant shall comply with the demolition plan as approved by the city engineer and shall post a bond for, and then let's just say, the existing outbuilding located at the south end of Lot 4, which may remain if the lot is developed with a primary use within 18 months from the date of plat recording.
Yes,
And we got-
That.
Okay,
support.
Most recent iteration.
and I'll write that out for you, Avalon.
Okay. Any other further discussion? All right, let's go ahead and, I need a
I have
motion.
one other edit on condition number 3. Maximum impervious coverage is 40% or 5,000 square feet per lot, whichever is less before recording of plat. Not wherever.
Good catch on the typo. Okay, and now I will entertain a motion.
I'll recommend approval of the final plat of Moss Acres at 2026 North Main to the City Council with conditions 1 through 13 as amended in our discussion, and reasons for action A through C.
Second.
Any other further discussion or debates? Okay, we'll start with you, Commissioner Daly.
Aye.
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 Thank you. The matter is approved. And, wow, this just seems really odd to be already on the Community Development Director's report. And yet, that is where we are. So we'll turn it over to Cassie for our Community Development Director's report.
All right, so it's looking like next planning commission meeting will be non-existent. We have no items on the agenda, and no pressing issues to discuss that we feel like we need to make a meeting out of it. So we'll see each other again in April, I guess. City council things that are happening, other things that are happening. I will definitely send that Main Street survey again. And then after we get those survey results, and Corey's making up a timeline to schedule out a few other things. And then possibly after that, if we feel we need to, we'll schedule another work session to discuss those results. City council report seems like ages ago, but they did approve the chicken permit amendments and the catering limited definition and table of use amendments that we decided on. They're having a discussion on Pages Lane on the 21st, but it will not be a public hearing. They're holding off on the public hearing until the following meeting. So the discussion of Pages Lane on the 21st is just going to be a discussion of Corey's proposed amendments of the general plan that we had talked about during previous work sessions and meetings. So if that was still on your radar. And I think that's it.
I still think that it would be useful. I mean, I know that we've been discussing vision and goals, and I thought that our work session with the city council was very productive and very helpful from our perspective, but I would really like to try to get some goals going so that we can start striving towards hitting those goals. And I think that we need the city council's feedback and direction on those so that we can
For everything or specific?
well, particularly for Main Street
Okay.
and the west side.
And do you think a work session is the best way to do that, or?
I do. What do you guys think?
If it can be like the last work session.
I thought that it was helpful.
Yeah, I think the more direction from the city council, the better it is in the long run, so we don't have to make a lot of changes, so.
At least it gives us an area to aim for.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Just something that came up in the minutes, Chair, that just a reminder, and we'll get to the minutes in a minute, I know, but at the last meeting, we talked about staff coming up with some ideas that could be presented to the city council on streamlining the administrative aspects of the commission's work so that we could do more proactive planning. And I think we need to keep that on the list of things to do so that we can get some direction from staff and the city council on what areas we might be able to streamline and move forward on.
I absolutely agree with that. And I get the sense from talking to Corey that there is concern that that the city council may not want to push a lot of that, but I think that it would be helpful for us to particularly look at what other cities have done in this area, because I think that if other cities are doing it, I think we can learn from what works for them and what doesn't work for them so that we can revamp our process to be more effective. Okay, and last up on the agenda is to review the minutes from our meeting on February 13th. So let's just go ahead and review these page by page. We'll start with page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Wow, is that a first? Have we ever not made comments?
Avalon's a boss, she knows
Whew.
where to go.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion.
Chair, I hereby make a motion to accept the unamended minutes from our previous planning commission meeting on February 13th.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Is that a
Okay,
record?
7:25. This just
You
feels so
beat me
wrong.
by 5 minutes. I had the record
So
before.
wrong, but we can say here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna take this one on my record. So I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Is the recorder